Hey there, happy Sagittarius season. This is your reading for your sun, moon, and rising sign placements between November 22nd and December 21st in 2025. Welcome back to Embodied Astrology. My name is Renee. If we have not met before, thanks so much for tuning in with the channel. Just a quick announcement before I get to your season ahead. My 2026 year ahead readings are now on sale. These annual readings provide in-depth insight and embodied integration to help you make the most of the opportunities and work skillfully with the challenges of the upcoming year's most important transits, retrogrades, and eclipses. And for the astro lovers in your life, these readings also make excellent gifts. And if you've been interested in getting a personal reading from me, now is your chance. Or you might be interested in getting a reading with one of my amazing students, who I will say are also quickly becoming my teachers because they are truly brilliant. And we've organized a raffle through Sagittarius and Capricorn season to raise funds for one of our beloved Jamaican colleagues at Embodied Astrology, whose family and community were intensely impacted by Hurricane Melissa. So throughout this month and next, you can enter the raffle by donating directly to one of the fundraisers we're supporting and sending us your donation receipt. This is an exciting reading raffle. We have super skilled, highly intuitive, intelligent, insightful, funny, kind, compassionate astrologers and tarot readers who have so much to offer. And whether or not you win a reading, your donation will mean so much to folks who've lost so much. So please consider entering. You can find all the information you need to enter the raffle or get your 2026 year ahead reading in the show notes below. Okay, so let's get into your reading, and definitely make sure to stick around after the reading because I have a few more things to tell you about how you can get involved with me or with Embodied Astrology. Hello Aries, welcome to your Sagittarius season reading. I'm so happy to be here with you. So, Sagittarius season is a very interesting time in 2025 because all kinds of movement is happening. Now, Sagittarius as a sign is an energy that is all about movement. In our bodies, Sagittarius corresponds with the coordination of all of the muscles so that we can mobilize ourselves. And as an archetype, Sagittarius is often represented by the archer. And the vision of what is to come, the arrow shooting off into the distance, and the feeling of, I will go the distance, I will achieve the dream, and then I'll dream another dream. So there is a kind of constant feeling of expansion and journeying and a need to really explore life's many possibilities and our sense of purpose within it. In Sagittarius season in 2025, 3 planets are stationing direct. Mercury is stationing direct. It has been retrograde since November 9th and will turn direct on November 29th. Mercury's retrograde started in Sagittarius, went back into Scorpio, will end with Mercury stationing direct in Scorpio, and then there's this whole period called the retro shade, the post-retrograde shadow, when Mercury is moving back over that area of sky between Scorpio and Sagittarius where it retrograded back to. And the retro shade ends on December 16th, just a couple of days before the Sagittarius new moon, and just under a week before Capricorn season begins. So a lot of Sagittarius season is saturated by this integration of the Mercury retrograde. Saturn is also stationing direct just a couple of days before Mercury on the 26th of November. Now, Saturn is retrograde usually for like 4 to 5 months every single year. Saturn has been retrograde for a while, and it began its retrograde in Aries. Saturn is currently in Pisces. That's where it's going to be stationing direct, the sign before yours. But it started this whole retrograde in the early degrees of Aries. Saturn entered Aries earlier this year, retrograde, back to Pisces. It entered Pisces in March of 2023. And over the last 2.5 years, that's where Saturn has been. Now, by early next year, Saturn is coming into your sign, and then it will be there until 2028. And so this moment of Saturn stationing direct is an important moment because we are coming to a little bit of a closure with this phase of the last 2.5 years. And it is an especially important moment for Aries because this is kind of the lead up to Saturn really taking up some residence in your sign. And depending on how old you are, you may have never experienced this before, or you definitely haven't experienced it for a while. Saturn has a 29-year orbit around the sun. So if you're over 30, it's been a minute since you last felt this influence. The same thing is happening with Neptune. Neptune is currently in Pisces. It is stationing direct on December 11th at the very last degree of Pisces. Like Saturn, Neptune also went into Aries earlier this year, only made it a few degrees in, station retrograde, has gone back to the last degree of the zodiac. That is where it is stationing direct. And by early next year, Neptune also will move into your sign, Aries. So this is the astrological landscape that I want to give you for Sagittarius season. And the reading that I want to give you is actually a guided journey. Sagittarius is an energy that needs to journey, as I've already talked about. And because we are working to integrate all of this retrograde energy, and especially because we're working to integrate retrogrades in the water signs, and especially for Aries, because of how the water signs work in your chart, this is the time for you to really be working with your own intuition and making your own meaning. And I think that a lot of you you will really benefit from doing that kind of thing right now. You will benefit from listening to your intuition, from engaging with reflective, meditative contemplation, and also accessing your inner guidance and your guides. And if I can serve as a guide for you right now, that would make me so happy. So I want to offer you a guided journey. And in this journey, I'm going to give you some prompts to reflect back on these periods of time, to make some notes, to dream some dreams, and then to reflect forward on how these periods of time might continue to manifest and roll out. It is my belief that we can work with astrology in ways that really allow us to embody, manifest, and experience many more of the positive, generative, pleasurable aspects of these energies. If we don't want to work with astrology, does it mean, terrible things will happen? But a lot of times we get hung up in our own mind about things, and especially with the outer planet energies like Saturn and Neptune, they can be challenging to work with. And so if we understand what they need and what they want, then we can make space for them rather than fight them, which usually helps them channel in productive ways. And if we fight them, they're like, sorry, we're planets, you're a human, good luck. They are the gods, right? So they get the final word for sure. Please, if you can, find a place to do this where you can spend some uninterrupted, quiet time and have a pen and paper close by. Now, if you are in transit or doing chores or something like that, and you want to keep moving, then you can just listen to these prompts and contemplate them as you hear them. But I would definitely encourage and invite you to come back another time and actually go through the process, because it's going to be different when you actually do the thing. And then finally, what I will say is that a lot of what I'm working with right now, I talked about in my own language with more depth and my own meaning making in your Scorpio season reading. So listen back to that reading, because there is more information there, and you can find that reading in the show notes below. You can find the link. Okay. So let's go, Aries. Please find a way to make yourself comfortable. Sit down, lie down, have a pen and paper close by. If it feels good for you to close your eyes, close your eyes. If you prefer to keep them open, let your gaze soften and direct your attention inwards. And let's take some deep breaths together. So as you inhale, feel your breath expanding out and up. You might want to stretch your body, wiggle out, squirm a little bit. And as you exhale, allow any amount of muscular tension to relax. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the ground beneath you and the space behind you. As you inhale, breathe up and out. Feel the space in front of you expanding. As you exhale, allow your awareness to move down and in and bring your awareness to the space behind you. One more breath like that. As you inhale, your breath moves up and out. You might call upon any kind of intention you have for this journey we're about to go on. And as you exhale, release that intention. Feel your body, feel the ground, feel the space behind you. Now let's continue to breathe and expand awareness into the space behind. And here you can concentrate on sensations in your skin and your body, your back body. And you might really start to direct your awareness into the back of your head. And use your imagination to visualize the space behind you expanding like a big bubble. And we are going to expand, and reach far back into the past. Let's imagine that the space behind us can open all the way up to the year 2011. In 2011, Neptune came into Pisces. How old were you? Where were you? What did your life look like and feel like at that time? Gather, harvest some images of 14 years ago. Now I'm going to ask you a series of questions and just notice what emerges for you in your felt sense and images. In this last 14 years, and maybe especially around 2011, what kinds of experiences did you have with mystery, with spirit, with what you cannot control, the numinous, the unknown? In these last 14 years, what has your spiritual journey looked like or felt like? And how have you been in relationship with the void, that huge, enormous, unending space of all that you cannot know and can't control? So please feel free to pause the recording, take your time, make some notes, draw some pictures, contemplate these last 14 years. What have you been experiencing about the unknown, about the mystery, about the realms of the numinous and the subtle and the spiritual? Now, again, take your time, pause the recording. We will continue to reflect on this period of time, 2011 to 2025. And in this period of time, I want to ask you about loss. In 2011, what were your experiences with loss? In the 14 years since then, what have your experiences been with loss? Loss could be the loss of loved ones, could be the loss of your sense of personal capacity or agency, health or strength. It could be the loss of dreams, could be the loss of futures, could be the loss of memories. In these last 14 years, what have your experiences been in the realms of loss? Pause the recording, take your time, write your notes. And then finally, Aries, I want to ask you to reflect on your dreams. In these last 14 years, what have you been dreaming about? Now, this could be a question for your sleeping dreams or your waking dreams. Some of you may be very active dreamers, or you may have noticed that in these last 14 years, something has happened in your dreaming experience. Those of you who are older and have different timelines to contrast and compare with would notice this more than those of you who are younger. You might also reflect on your waking dreams, your fantasies, your imaginations of what could the world be like? What could your life be like? What have you been fantasizing about, imagining, longing for, yearning, and yet it has always also kind of felt far away? What are your dreams in these last 14 years? Pause the recording, take your time, make your notes. All right, Aries, as the dreams and the sensations of loss and the numinous and the unknown swirl around you, I want to invite you to pull your energy in a little closer from the space behind you. Maybe just extending your awareness out a little bit. And now let's contemplate the last 2.5 years. So think back to 2023. You might even remember the month of March. This is when Saturn entered Aries. In these last 2.5 years, I want to ask you how you have been challenged by the unknown, by the numinous, by the subtle and the spiritual, in ways that have also helped inform you into your own subtle capacities and strengths, maybe in ways that have formed some kind of pathways of spiritual inquiry, maybe in ways that have challenged your sense of spiritual relationship. How have your experiences in these last 2.5 years with the realms of the unseen and the unknown, the invisible and the subtle, how have they engaged with your body and with your mind in ways that have changed you, in ways that you've been challenged by, and also in ways that have stimulated your own growth, maturation, and awareness of your capacities and limitations? Pause the recording, take your time, make your notes. Aries, in these last 2.5 years, how have you been growing through your own experiences of loss? Whether you have lost loved ones, whether you have lost your own dreams, whether you have experienced your body aging or going through periods of illness, maybe losing a sense of strength or agency. In these last 2.5 years, how have your experiences of loss also strengthened you? What have they strengthened inside of you? They may have strengthened barriers, they may have strengthened boundaries, but they may have also strengthened other parts of your being. Take your time, make your notes. In these last 2.5 years, how have you been strengthened or fortified by loss? All right, Aries. Finally, in these last 2.5 years, how have you been noticing your dreams changing? And in what ways have you been meeting the fluid, ephemeral nature of your dreams with form? This question is a question around your experience with bringing your longings and dreams into form. It's also a question about the ways that you may have confronted your own fantasies or illusions or delusions, or recognized that certain dreams are not viable and other dreams need to be clarified. In these last 2.5 years, how have you been working intentionally with your dreams of what the world could be, what your life could be? Take your time, make your notes. Aries, let's bring in the container of time even closer. So now feel the skin at the back of your body. Feel your inner body in the back wall, your spine, your sacrum, the back of your skull. Let's just contemplate into the recent past, the last month or two. Depending on when you're listening, you might project back to the end of October. Now, since the end of October, what has really had your attention? Where has your mind been pulled in these last weeks and months? What are the ideas you've been having about freedom? And what are the focal points that bring you into experiences of being entangled and contained? Where have you been focusing? What has been calling your attention in these last weeks and months? Take your time, make your notes. Let's come into the present moment, Aries. Take a moment and just wiggle out. You've just been working in the realms of the past. Maybe you want to brush off the back of your body a little bit or take some big, deep breaths. We are halfway through our journey, so when you are ready, we are going to one more time come into the breath, relax our bodies, and then begin to breathe now into the space in front. As you breathe, imagine that you can open up the space in front of you in a big, big arc. You can reach far into the future with your breath and consciousness. And I want to invite you now to really fantasize, to indulge your imagination and project yourself forward to 2038, 13 years from now. In 2038, so much will have changed. You will have changed so much. You may have made the transition in these next 13 years from a solid form to a spirit form, and maybe you've already come back again, who knows? But let's dream our best dream right now. Let's really feel into our own desires and longings and most satisfying imaginations. When you conceive of the possibility of 2038 and where you might be personally at that point, who you are, how you feel yourself, how you experience your body and your vitality and your presence and your personality, Aries, what is the dream of you? What kind of dream are you in 13 years? Pause the recording, take your time, make your notes, write down your dreams. Taking a deep breath in and pulling the container of time a little bit closer into arm's reach. Now, Aries, let's project ourselves forward 2.5 years. 2028 is the edge of our container. In 2.5 years, you will not be the person you will be in 2038. In 2.5 years, you will just really be at the beginning of a journey of your own becoming that will result in where you arrive or what your energy is doing if you are no longer in body in 2038. In these next 2.5 years, however, in order for you to reach that dream of 2038, you also need to get kind of serious about it. There are commitments. There is labor. There is intentionality and dedication and follow through. There are some kinds of processes of maturation that are required. I think that you have a sense of some of the challenges that you will be confronted with on your path to this biggest dream. And I'd like you now to pause the recording and take your time and consider for yourself how you're going to meet these challenges and what the work is, especially in these next 2.5 years, that can help set the stage or form the foundation that will allow you to grow towards this big dream of 2038. So take your time, pause the recording, and make your notes. All right, my Aries friends, let's pull the container of time very, very close in. You might want to bring your hands to your heart, feel the skin at the front of your body, feel your inner body at the front wall, behind your belly, behind your chest. And now let's project forward, not so far into the future. Let's just imagine into the next 5 or 6 months. So if you are an Aries birthday, we're going to imagine the month or two after your birthday in 2026. If you've got other Aries placements, we're thinking forward to Gemini season or Taurus season in 2026. Now, between now and then, you are going to need to be reminded a couple of times about what you're doing and why. You have a big path in front of you. There is a lot of challenge for sure that will be on this path. You are equipped though. You have what it takes. You have clarified your intentions, your dedications, and commitments. You know what you need to do. And sometimes we need some cheerleaders. We need some reminders. We need some messages. So what I want you to do now is write down reminders and messages and mantras and affirmations for the next 5 to 6 months. And these are meant to help you get on the path or gain some traction in the place of the path where you are on. These are mantras and reminders that help you dedicate yourself consistently to the practices that are going to really be the vehicle for your journey to 2038. So please pause the recording, take your time, and write down at least a few mantras, affirmations, reminders, and messages that are meant to support you doing this work that you need to do over the next 2.5 years, and also dreaming your biggest dream of self-becoming and actualizing by 2038. All right, Aries, welcome back. Let's come back into the present moment. Again, maybe you want to move your body, wiggle and stretch, look around your space. Here you are in the now of it all. We have arrived and it is the present moment. We have gone on a journey into the past and into the future. And my hope for you is that you have collected some material on this journey that is informative for you about where you're coming from and also where you are wanting to go. Now, in the transition between 2025 and 2026, there is some big important movement that's happening of Neptune and Saturn moving out of Pisces and out of your solar 12th house and into Aries and into your solar 1st house. And this is a transition from the space of the numinous and the unknown and the invisible and the dream into the here and the now, into your body, your lifetime, your timeline, and your becoming. You are a process of becoming, my Aries friends. You are the creative act itself. And in this transition, I hope that you have found some guidance for yourself around pathways of becoming that you feel really committed to. And I also hope that in this next 5 to 6 months of transition, as these changes are happening, that you've also clarified some reminders, some mantras and affirmations that will assist you as we move through this portal of change. Now I'm going to give you 2 more timelines. These are in the here and the now. They may be in the very recent past, depending on when you're listening in Sagittarius season. But December 4th is the full moon in Gemini. If you are listening to this before December 4th, what I want you to do, this is your homework, is to write your mantras and your affirmations out and put them everywhere. Definitely, your devices, definitely pen and paper, put them everywhere. Keep little pieces of paper in your pocket, right? Send yourself reminders. And I also want you to talk about it. So I want you to share your messages with other people, and only share these messages with people who you really trust to hold them with you, and invite those people to also remind you of them especially around the full moon. So you want to saturate your consciousness with these messages and with these reminders as we engage with the energy of the Gemini full moon. 2 weeks after that, on the 19th of December, we have the Sagittarius new moon. This is coming just a few days after Mercury finishes its retro shade. It's just a few days before Capricorn season begins. And this new moon is asking you to be really intentional and to put things into practice. There is a feeling here with this new moon that we need to stabilize our intentions through small actions, decisions, and material investments. So if you have spent the last 2 weeks since the Gemini full moon saturating your consciousness with messages, affirming them to yourself, then you have already found yourself embodying and enacting the actions that these messages want you to take. But now is a time to be very intentional and to really set your sights forward on little pieces of practice, little rituals that you can maintain and repeat iteratively, consistently from now until at least next year. And these practices are going to build the base for you to build upon over the next 2.5 years of Saturn in your sign and over the next 13 years of Neptune in your sign. I don't know who said this. I don't know where I read it, but I read it somewhere and I believe it to be true. If you spend 5 minutes a day on what you care about, you're going to get somewhere, right? 5 to 10 minutes a day. It really does not have to be everything. So Sagittarius new moon, what I want you to do is set your intention on the future and the present, the near future, and commit to some kind of daily practice of faith. This is you investing in your biggest dream. This could be anything. It could be a writing practice. It could be a movement practice. It could be an intentionality practice. It could be about sitting with your altar. It could be about exercising. Like, what is your dream? What do you want to make happen? 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, maybe every other day. Do it in a way that is sustainable for you and isn't too grandiose that then you're going to feel like you can't maintain it. And then do the thing every day until at least Taurus or Gemini season next year. And by that time, you're going to have done the thing so much that it will be building into something else and it will have its own kind of momentum and it's going to carry you somewhere. Okay? Okay. That basically brings us to the end of Sagittarius season. I'll be back with you in Capricorn season with whatever I have for you then. In the time between now and then, I really hope that this reading serves and supports you. If it does, please let me know and please support my work. Your comments, your likes, your subscribes really help my channel. And I love to do this work. And so much of what I do, I give for free. And if you appreciate it, please help support me. Like, comment, subscribe, share these horoscopes with a friend, and leave me a comment. Tell me what's happening for you. I really read my comments. I love my comments. They help me feel like I'm doing something for actual people, not just the algorithm. That's the reason that I'm doing it. So please write to me, leave me a comment. Tell me what's landing, what's resonating, what's coming through in the channels. Aries, I believe in you. I believe in your biggest dream. I believe in your becoming. I believe in your actualization. I believe in your power, your creativity, your beauty, your love. And I really hope that you feel that and that you have a wonderful Sagittarius season. And I'm wishing you all the best in this season and beyond. Bye for now. I hope you enjoyed your Sagittarius season reading. Thank you so much for listening. If you're still here and you enjoyed your reading so much that you want to play around with embodied astrology with me, I hope you can join me sometime for my weekly virtual class, Somatic Space. You can catch me live on Zoom every Monday, where we tune in with the lunar cycle, solar season, and transits for the week ahead, and work with gentle mind, heart, body practices that prepare us to meet what's coming with skill and style. And you can always get the recording if you can't attend live. There's also so much more going on at Embodied Astrology, including our weekly chart reading study groups, which are amazing, nurturing spaces where you can learn about your chart and how to read charts for others through relationship and conversation. We also offer seasonal workshops timed to support you with current astrology. Our next upcoming workshop is in Capricorn season on January 3rd's Cancer full moon, and it's called Care is in Your Hands with Daniel Addy. I'm really excited for this workshop, and I think it's going to be very on time as the astrology at that point is really encouraging us to care deeply for our inner worlds and take care of our structural support. Daniel is a longtime astrology lover and astrologer, as well as a fantastic body worker and massage therapist, and someone who I've been working with now for almost 5 years, and who has helped me so much in my personal healing path. Daniel is a Capricorn, and you might know that Capricorn's energy has a lot to do with our bones, skeletons, and postures. In this full moon workshop, Daniel will be teaching accessible self-massage practices that we can use throughout the year to tend to the parts and places in our bodies that are most prone to postural stress and pain. All of our offerings at Embodied Astrology are always sliding scale, with additional scholarships provided for those experiencing financial difficulties. So there's no excuse really to miss this workshop. Your back, your shoulders, your hips, and your neck, and maybe your friends' bodies will all thank you. So once again, find everything you need to connect with me and learn more about Embodied Astrology's offerings in the show notes or at embodiedastrology.com. All right, friends, thank you so much for being here. I am wishing you all the best in your Sagittarius season journeys. Bye for now.